there guys, my name is Leek, and finally they released the Monster Hunter World gameplay trailer in English. On top of that, they had actually some commentary on it, and that was really nice to see. So, this time around we are going to focus solely on the animals. Why? Well, I already know that a lot of people will focus on the new Engish armor and how it gives magical skills of attack large or something and everything, so I'm not going to focus too much on that. Instead, I'm going to go into detail again and focus a little bit more about the animals in the world, because that is important. That is really important. It is not all about killing the monster, it's all about the animals. Alright, so let's play a game first. On the starting screen, as the gameplay trailer starts, we can see animals. But can you spot every animal? That is the question. If you guessed, if you saw 5 animals, that is actually correct. At least that's how many animals I saw in it. So, there were a spider, a lizard, 1 bird, 1 land fish type of thing, and then there was a sugar glider that we already have seen as well. So 4 of those animals we haven't actually seen before. 1 of those animals, the land fish, we have seen on the shorter version of the trailer, which was kind of a glimpse of like the hunter kind of going through some of the branches and everything, and the fish kind of dropped into the water. I will clip it here right now. That is interesting in of itself, but let us hop right into this and go into the moment where the hunter is leaving again the area, and we will see those sugar gliders again. And there they are kind of running around, but this time around there are 2 of them kind of running around. So they apparently they are very dynamic in a sense of how many there are in one spot. It can vary from 1 to 2 or maybe 3. Apparently. Also we see a palico, which was a good bonus on this gameplay, because we didn't really see that on the first one being used. On this one we do, and that is really nice. So let's skip ahead again to the bird section of the gameplay. And this I want to point out to you guys is because these birds actually look like a mixture of owls and parrots. So they also have like a movement of a pigeon, you could say, like they're bobbing their head back and forth. So it's a really nice to see it in high detail and everything, and I kind of see the birds how they should look like. And so skipping a little bit more ahead, as the great Jagras arrives. This I have to mention about the great Jagras is that we didn't really see it on the low resolution stream that was released early on, but on this one we really see that great Jagras doesn't have many expressions on his face, which was really nice to see, because lizards and like beard akamas or whatever they are called, like that sort of a monster doesn't usually, or animal doesn't usually have many facial expressions. Like they usually have that same expression, and like it's really nice that they have kept that aspect of the animal in there with great Jagras. On top of that, as great Jagras appears, we see a vulture type of a bird arriving, like flying around. We've seen this animal as well in the previous kind of glimpse of it, but I haven't really shown it myself on my channel. So it kind of flies away there. And again, I want to mention that all of these animals that I mentioned, I'm questioning if those are killable or not. And definitely I want to see if those vulture type of birds are killable and carvable. Can you get items from them, etc. After the Anjanath is lured out of the cave, and that definitely looks interesting, simply because there are 2 grasshoppers running around or jumping around on the right side of the screen, as you see here, and it's definitely interesting, simply because of one reason. They are very reminiscent of Hornetors from Monster Hunter 1 and some other games after that as well. The next thing happens when the hunter actually topples Anjanath, and one of those vulture type of bird kind of lands on the cliff here. And to me, it seems like as the hunter kind of closes in, the vulture leaves immediately. So very much like the first birds that we see, the parrot-like birds, they seem to leave immediately as the hunter gets close to them. So it makes me question if they are actually killable. I would really like to see them being killable, but either way, I would be fine with it overall. So after that, what ends up happening is that he lures the Anjanath to open the kind of cave and flashes him and everything. But after the hunter kind of leaves the Anjanath and kind of runs away from him, what we see here is as the camera kind of turns around, we can see this blue frog type of a animal on the ground. And I haven't personally seen any of the trailers using this. I haven't seen any blue frogs being used. And this to me is interesting. I'm not completely sure. Could you kind of make that as a poison frog? Maybe. But it's not like a purple colored frog, so I'm not completely sure there. But it's definitely interesting to see a blue frog that maybe or maybe not you can kind of squash and make something happen. And of course, the next thing that we see is very interesting stuff. Very interesting indeed. And that is Keystones actually arriving. I really spent time on thinking about this because we already know that there are like great Jaggies and there are Jaggias and Jaggies. So there is a hierarchy of animals, has been always in Monster Hunter, where there are like Velociprays and Velocidromes. But what we see here actually is two types of Keystones. So we already know that the one that arrives here is a very large version of those. So what I kind of when I looked at this, I saw two Keystones at least, which had like a cover on their head which was very strong, very heavy, and they were larger. And then there were these smaller Keystones like preying around as well, but their head kind of helmet was very, you could say maybe female-ish, or a very young version of a Keystone. So definitely there is that hierarchy type of a thing where there are young ones and older ones, but I'm not completely sure if they are going to name them differently, like Jaggy, Jaggia, Great Jaggy. Will they do something like Keystonon, Keystonon, and then Keystodon and Keystodrone? I don't know. But it was definitely, it forced me to actually look at this in slow motion and really see if they were different. And definitely I can see difference in some of the Keystones in there. So the next thing that we see, as I pointed out on my previous video, is those Dragonflies. And indeed they are green in color, and when they get aggressive, those Dragonflies turn reddish. So yeah, definitely interesting to see that in action. So the next thing that we see, this was also a mistake on my previous video, is when the hunter actually brings the Anjanath fight against Rathalos. And of course I also hope that these Remombra type of monsters are killable as well. Look at the moment when he leaves the base camp. You will see a lot of those rabbit creatures that we mentioned before, those sugar gliders. But look at the last one that actually leaves as the hunter is kind of closing in on the edge of the area. One of them is actually pink in color, or whitish and pink. What does that look to you? If you haven't played any Pokemon or watched any of the anime, you might not notice that. Definitely looks like Sylveon to me, and I wouldn't mistake that to anything else. And the funny thing is that Pokemons are like the short version of Pocket Monsters, and these are like your Pocket Monsters right there. So I'm not completely sure if this is like some sort of a throwback, or not a throwback, or Easter egg or something, but they even look like evolutions and everything. So I don't know. Makes me question a lot of things. Probably one of the last things that we are going to see here are the Vigor Wasps, and this to me is interesting because you can use Vigor Wasps, right? You can use them to heal yourself. But what if you are not in the mood? What if you want the Vigor Wasp's armor? What if you want parts from it? Because as we see here on the video, actually, the Vigor Wasps look really cool. Like they have this, you could almost say like they have a distinctive, like a Pokemon type of a design to them, which to me is very attractive in a Monster Hunter game like this. Especially if you can make an armor out of it, it's probably going to be looking really nice, like a very, you could say like an anime type of armor instead of like vibrant in color would be a good description for it, what I'm looking for. It would be a little bit different from any of the armors that we've seen so far, at least from Monster Hunter World, that is. So the next thing that we are going to see a red pigeon as the hunter goes back up from the Vigor Wasp and goes to lure the Great Jagras. We see a red pigeon, but wait, what? That's the freaking raw meat that he put on the crop. I'm bad at jokes, okay? I'm sorry. Like, this was the moment, like, I was like looking, oh my god, there's a red pigeon, but then I can forget about it, okay? I'm sorry, it's not an animal, it's just a red meat, okay? So yeah, there's just a lot of wasps in this, or not wasps, but a lot of Vespoids in this area, and the rest of the gameplay doesn't have any new animals. So that's pretty much it that I have to cover on this video. Definitely there are two things that are really interesting to me. Evolution, for one. This game is going to have Pokemons. The second thing is the Keystones. Those things interest me a lot. Simply because of the hierarchy system. What are they going to do with that? Are they going to call all of the Keystones, or are they going to go into this similar hierarchy system with Chagias, Great Chagi, and will there be a Keystodrome? That is interesting stuff to me. On top of that, of course, the land fish is interesting. For some reason that is interesting to me. I'm not sure why, but it seems so odd. Like an eel type of a fish that sits on the land, and when the hunter gets close to it, it goes to the water. Why? What's the point? I'm not sure. But yeah, there's my animals that I've seen in Monster Hunter World. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode, and as always guys, stay awesome. If you liked the video, hit that like button. If you didn't, you know what to do. And as always guys, happy hunting, and we will see you guys next time. Bye bye.